YouTube, TikTok, what is going on? What is up? What is up? What is up? So, today we are going to discuss traditional business versus real estate. And I'm looking at two different cameras. I'm looking at YouTube and I'm looking at here on TikTok. But today we're going to discuss traditional business versus real estate. And I would like to know, which one would you choose? And I'm going to give you some viewpoints on both of them, but I'm definitely going to share what my opinion is. But I'm also going to back it up with data and tell you why. Okay. So now, for those who don't know, been an entrepreneur since 2003. Uh, you know, succeeded, failed, succeeded, failed. I always tell people I've probably failed 60% of my journey on this 20-year journey. But what those lessons taught me is it taught me what not to do. And I think also often so many people are scared to get off the porch of business, are scared to get off the porch when it comes to entrepreneurship. They're scared to get off the porch when it comes to investing because of the failure that they assume that they're going to face. But here's the thing I want you to realize: the quote unquote failure, that's the data you need to determine what works and what doesn't work. Let me say that again. The failure that you feel, that's the data that you need. So, for example, let's say you wanted to learn how to play basketball, okay? And before you decide to get a trainer, you go to the court and you're out there and you're shooting free throws. Well, you may miss every single free throw, but what happens is that the trainer comes in, and although you're failing at making the free throws, the trainer's job is to spot out what you're doing wrong. But if you never go to the free throw line, you'll never be able to see what the correction need to be had. Same thing in business. If you want to start a business, or if you want to get into real estate, or if you want to buy into a franchise or whatever it is, how do you know what your tolerance level is for people if you haven't worked with people? Because dealing with people in your regular life is different in business. See, in your real life, you can just cut people off, you can block them, you can, not answer their phone call, you can do all of those things. But when it comes to traditional business, y- see, there's a difference between running a business and running a company. And for a lot of the financial goals that a lot of people are striving for, you want to you have to run a company. But to run a company, it requires people. And so, what is your tolerance level of dealing with people? What is your level of emotional intelligence? Can you handle criticism? What do you do when when a customer cusses you out? What do you do when somebody charges back? See, so the temperament is different, but you don't know if you can actually deal with that until you decide to actually thrust yourself into doing business. And so, but today I'm going to talk about traditional business versus real estate. Again, I'm just going to give my viewpoints. This isn't anybody else's viewpoints, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but and I actually do both. I have an actual traditional business that does very well, makes over seven figures successfully, but I've also hedged my business by setting up what's called an SPV. And if you're following me and you're listening, and for the few people who are on here, type in the chat the letters SPV, which stands for Special Purpose Vehicle. And a special purpose vehicle is essentially an entity that is used that helps you to isolate your financial risk. Okay, an SPV is set up to help you to isolate your financial risk. And so, again, yes, I have a traditional business, but I also have a real estate business. And I'm going to tell you, if I had to start all over again, which one I would pick and why I would pick it. Okay. And so I'll get started with that here shortly. So now, if I had to start all over again and go traditional business versus real estate investing, me personally, Will Roundtree would start, and I would always say real estate investing. Now, there's different levels of real estate investing. You can be a developer, you can be a fix and flipper, you can be a person who buy and hold. And you also have to identify which one you want to be. And I'll also tell you which one that I would prefer and where I would start at. Okay. So now, here's the difference. And just to kind of give you some backstory. So now, when I first started my first business in 2000 and about 8, 2009, um, of course, I had to pay for everything. I had to pay to get my LLC set up. I had to pay to get it registered with the state. I had to pay for my business license, business cards, all of that stuff. Okay. That business failed miserably. Then when I bought, then I said, you know what? Now let me try investing in a franchise. So in 2014, I invested in a franchise. Okay. Now let me tell you what the expenses are again. And if you follow me, write this down because the franchise was very expensive. First of all, the franchise costed me $25,000. Okay. So after the $25,000, then I had to set up an actual entity, and then I had to create a DBA for that entity. And the reason I had to create a DBA is because I had to still set up my business under the actual franchise, but I could not call myself the franchise because I didn't own the rights to the name. So for some people who want to know why do you have to set up a DBA, let me explain it to you in layman's. So let's say you go out and you buy a Subway, and your name is, let's just say, Roundtree Investments. Okay. And I'm just making something up. Obviously, I can't call myself Subway, but I may go out there and borrow money or raise money under the name Subway because I invested in the naming rights of Subway. So my company is going to be called Roundtree Investments, DBA Subway, or whatever their actual corporation name is. This way, by having that DBA, it allows me to be able to collect money in cash checks as Subway. Because again, that's my actual franchise. Okay. So I bought this franchise, set up a DBA. So I had to pay for the franchise, I had to pay for the DBA, had to pay for the business license, I had to get an actual facility. My rent was $3,500 a month on a triple net lease. For those who don't know what a triple net lease is, that means I had to cover the taxes, insurance, and utilities for that building. Okay, I want you guys to track all of these expenses. Okay, so it cost me $25,000 for just to buy into the franchise. It cost me my rent was $3,500 a month. Then I had to get a business license. I had to pay for the entity setup. I had to pay for the DBA. And then I had to cover the utilities. And then on top of that, so let me just tell you, it was a tax franchise. So I opened the tax franchise in July. I got into the building around August. So mind you, I'm covering the rent from August until right when tax season really kicks off and people start making money in the tax industry, which is like around February. So from August, September, October, November, December, January, February. So for 7 months, I had to cover the rent. So we're at about about close to $30,000 in rent payments, $25,000 for the franchise rights, on top of all of the other expenses. So let's just say it cost me $50,000 up front before I can make a dime back. Okay, minimum, it cost me $50,000. Now, mind you, I still haven't paid for marketing. I still haven't paid for all of the things that it takes for me to get a customer. Okay, I want you to just keep following me. Okay, again, if you're just getting on, I'm talking about traditional business versus real estate investing. Okay, I do both, but I'm also going to tell you if I had to start all over again, where I would start. Okay, so now 25,000 for the business, another 35,000 for rent to pay, cover the rent cost till tax season starts, until we can start making money. So I'm all in. If you're following me, type in the chat $50,000 all in. Okay. I'm actually teaching you how to start evaluating and running your numbers, because that's a reason why so many people fail in business. They don't run numbers. Okay. So 50,000 all in, all in. Okay. So I'm 50,000 all in, haven't even got a customer yet. So now I have to market and advertise. But for those who've never been in the tax industry, and keep in mind, this was pre-social media. It may have been MySpace, Facebook may have been around back then. I don't remember. Facebook was around, but it wasn't as popular as it is. So now, mind you, I have to pay for Google SEO, Google clicks, yellow pages. So my marketing budget is going to be at least $3,000 to $5,000. $3,000 to $5,000. Plus the level of competition. There is a tax office literally on every single corner. Drive in any city, especially in some of the more urban communities, and count the number of tax offices that are open. It'll blow you away. And I'll tell you why. Because in more affluent neighborhoods, they're not trying to get a tax refund. That's why. Okay. So we got marketing, we got franchise costs, we got rent payments. So now we're up to about 75,000 all in before I even make a dime back, or before I can even get a customer. Everybody put in the chat, if you're following me, 75,000 all in. So now I'm 75,000 all in. Okay. This is for my potential entrepreneurs. Now I know times has changed a little bit, because you don't have to go get a building. But just follow why the difference between traditional business versus being a real estate investor. So I'm 75,000 all in. Now, in the event, if something goes wrong, how can I get my money back? I can't sell the business because it's not worth anything. I'm fighting for customers, so I have to slash my prices. The competition is high. I got to hire employees. So there are so many things that are out of my control in order for my business to scale, or order for my business even just to make money. And for those who know my story about me investing in that franchise, I actually lost everything. Had to go back to corporate America, et cetera, et cetera. But I just want you to sit there and think about all of the things that it's going to cost you to start a traditional business, whether it's in trucking, whether it's in a restaurant. Think about the inventory you got to pay for, the trucks you got to buy, the employees you got to hire, the drivers you got to hire, the insurances you got to carry, all of those things before you even get a customer. I want everybody to write this down or type this in the chat. Velocity of money. See, most entrepreneurs, most businessmen and businesswomen, what they do is they look at and calculate the velocity of their money. And the velocity of your money essentially means how fast can you put it out there and how fast can you get it back. So with the traditional business, the velocity of your money can be slow, because keep in mind, that's 75,000 all in. That's still a running total, because rent is still every month. Expenses are still every month. Marketing costs is still every month. And then for those who don't know, tax season is only about 10 weeks long. So typically you have to get all of your money to cover the bulk of all of your expenses within that 10 weeks. Now, of course, some tax offices who stay open all year long are doing other services to try to keep the lights on. But for a brand new tax office that I had, I didn't have the level of experience, because keep in mind, I knew nothing about taxes. I just saw that you can potentially make a lot of money. And that's why I got into that business. So now I want you to ask yourself, If that business goes wrong, how do you hedge your investment? You can't borrow against the business. You can't sell the business because it's not worth any money. By this point, all my credit cards were maxed out. Like, I had no way to hedge that business. And so, and this is where so many entrepreneurs and businessmen and businesswomen put themselves in a position to where they get into a business that they cannot afford to close. I just saw a statistic on the margins for grocery stores. Margins, margins, margins. That means after all expenses, the margins is what you actually make. They said the margins for a grocery store are like 1.26. That means you make 1.26% for every dollar. That means you're making like a penny on every dollar made when you own a grocery store. So this is why a lot of the times when you go to those mom and pop stores, they can't afford to close. Restaurants, the margins are almost less than 5%. Margins in grocery stores have the smallest margins when it comes to profit margins. The smallest. And so now ask yourself this, and this is what I had to start asking myself, and this is when I learned to pivot. Why would I continue to jump into industries where it's been predetermined and pre-calculated, where the average failure rate is 90%? Let me say that again. Why would I continue to go out there and put my blood, sweat, and tears into something where the success rate is 10% or the failure rate is 90%? Now, I'm not saying don't go and start a traditional business. What I'm saying is that you have to learn how to hedge that business for when it goes wrong. Or what I'm saying is if I had to start all over again, what would be my entry point into the world of entrepreneurship? And for me, I would start with real estate first. And I'm going to give you several reasons why. Okay? Let me give you several reasons why. Now, before I go into that, I want to break down one of the reasons why I think a lot of people have a hard time succeeding as entrepreneurs. And it is because they have they have a low developmental stability scale. They have a low developmental stability scale, meaning that their developmental process is very low. Their stability is very low because most people are starting businesses on shifty grounds. Now, let me tell you what developmental scalability, stability scale means. It's a strategic framework designed to systematically elevate your expertise in business and real estate investing and guide you through the progressive stages of growth to achieve mastery and financial success. So if you have a very low developmental stability scale, it's almost impossible to scale, to succeed, or progress in business because you can't go in thinking you know what the outcome is going to be. You should want to start or get involved in something where you can almost predict your outcome, where there's some level of predictability. And when you go into traditional business first, I can't predict my customers coming in. I can't predict the marketing. There's too many things that are out of my control, which is why the failure rate is 90%. So now let me tell you why I would start as a real estate investor first. And I'm going to give you actually 13 reasons. Yeah, I'm up late tonight. I have an early flight, so I can't sleep. All right. Number one, cash flow. For those who are just joining, I'm talking about traditional business versus being a real estate investor, primarily buying and holding. That's all I'm talking about tonight, buying and holding. And which one I would start first. Not saying don't do business, not saying don't do real estate. I'm telling you, if I had to start all over again, I would start off as a real estate investor first. Then I have a foundation to where if I wanted to invest in a traditional business, I at least can hedge my money in this traditional business if it doesn't go right. Okay. So, number one, cash flow. See, a lot of people think that making money is cash flow. Those are two different things. See, if you go to work and you work 8 hours, that's not cash flow. That's income. See, we have to start learning these terminologies. This is why I often tell people I highly recommend this. What I told my real estate group to go and get the dictionaries of business in economic terms. There's also one on real estate. Cash flow and income are two different things. See, cash flow is what you get in spite of you. See, when you open up that traditional business, you have to be there every day. You're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I read a statistic that for the average franchise doing about $1.2 million in revenue, their net income is about $60,000 to $80,000. Let me say that again. For the average franchise doing about 1.2 million a year, their net income, that means after everybody's been paid, their net is $65,000 a year. Now, I'm not saying that that's good or bad or a little or a lot. I'm just giving you perspectives. See, cash flow is what you make in spite of you. So, this is the question I often ask people. Whatever you make today financially, if you were if an extra $300 to $500 a month came in, would you be mad? Meaning 300 to 500 without you doing anything. You're still working your 9 to 5, you're still running your business, you're still doing whatever it is that you do. But if there was an additional $300 to $500 a month, which is 3,600 to $6,000 a month coming in annually or monthly, would that be a benefit to your household income? See, that's cash flow. That's cash flow. Money that's coming in spite of you. Let me give you another benefit of real estate investing, or why I would, if I had to start all over again, why I would do real estate investing versus starting a traditional business first. Number one is cash flow. Number two is a tangible asset. See, going back again, let's say I have this business, okay? Here's the business. And if this business fails, it's worth nothing. You can't borrow against this business. But if this was a real estate asset, if this was a property, even though the property could not be in the best shape, or I can still borrow from this property. Now, let's say you have a business that's not making money and you have a property. Guess what you can do with this property? You can borrow money from this asset that's tangible and infuse it to this company that's lacking cash flow. See, real estate helps you to hedge your businesses, or this SPV that owns this real estate portfolio helps you to hedge this business. So this is why number two is tangible asset. The real estate dwelling is tangible. I can always borrow against it, or I could sell it. Okay. Number three, tax benefits. See, with the traditional business, yes, there's tax benefits when it comes to owning a business. That is what's called the B quadrant. If you read the book by Robert Kiyosaki, Cash Flow Quadrant, the B quadrant. But there's a whole nother quadrant called the I quadrant, and these are just props, which is the investor. See, I'm buying the real estate as an investor. See, when it comes to being an investor, we investors leverage debt, which means we don't pay taxes on the money we use to get into the property. Plus, I can depreciate the property and still borrow against it. If I depreciate the business in the tax returns and the income, I can't borrow against it. So the tax benefits alone, and for those who don't know, banks were set up for one main purpose. There's multiple purposes, but the number one purpose that most banks were set up were to give mortgages. So if you want to be in a position to always be able to borrow money, buy real estate. I have an apartment building I'm actually about to purchase, and I'm going to post the purchase agreement because I was actually able to negotiate about 60 something $1,000 off the purchase price. And I'm purchasing the apartment building from other rental properties that I own that I'm just going to borrow from tax free to be able to buy the real estate. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you play Monopoly. You buy 4 houses and cash it in for the building. That's all I'm doing. I'm playing Monopoly in real life. But that's the benefit, which is number 4, is leverage. Owning real estate affords you leverage. See, in my traditional business, I could not do anything every single day, but my rental income, which is a considerable amount of rental income, well over 6 figures a year in rental income, comes in spite of me. My rental income comes in spite of me. So it affords me leverage. So when I ask people, why do you want to be an entrepreneur or why do you want to go into business? And they say, oh, I want time freedom. Starting a business doesn't give you time freedom. Leverage, cash flow, passive income that's what gives you time freedom. That's the only thing that gives you time freedom. You have to own real estate. Owning a business does not give you time freedom. And the sooner you understand that, the faster it is you can get on your way. But because we have to increase our developmental stability scale, we have to get out of our own mindset. See, unpopular opinion, and this is often what I tell people, your passion will keep you poor. Your passion will keep you poor. And here's why. Most people's passion is tied to them giving. Let me say that again. Most people's passion, meaning what they want to do, whether it's starting a nonprofit, whether it's to give to the community, whether it's to feed the homeless, work with children, work with battered women, work with drug addicts, like your passion will keep you poor. And the reason that is because often our passion has to do with us giving ourselves for nothing. But if you don't have anything paying you that will allow you to be able to work within your passion, this is why so many people never get to work within their passion, because they have to be worried about the rent payment. They have to be worried about their mortgage payment. They have to be worried about child care. They have to be worried about their car payments. So I often tell people, learn how to make money, then go work in your passion. Learn how to make money, then go give yourself to the community. And this is why I always say, if I had to start all over again, traditional business versus real estate investing, I'm going to choose real estate investing first. Then take my proceeds from that real estate business and dump it into my business or dump it into my passion or my purpose. So top reasons why I would choose real estate first: cash flow, tangible assets, tax benefits, leverage. Number 5 is hedging inflation. Let me break that down. So when the economy goes through its ebbs and flows, historically. I'm not talking about like black swan moments. Okay, we're only talking about historically. When the economy goes through its ebbs and flows, are most businesses thriving or are they suffering? Outside of things that people want to do, whether they have money or not, gambling, entertainment, alcohol, food, outside of those things, most traditional businesses are suffering during economic downturns. But let me ask you all a question. Regardless of the economic climate, do all people have to live somewhere? And when I was able to answer those two questions, I said, you know what? If I have to do this all over again, I'm going to start with real estate investing. Because as I mentioned, real estate investing helps me to hedge the business that is declining. See, what is it? Let me, and here's a question I often ask people. There are a lot of businesses that we're all familiar with that are closing down. Jordan, what's going on? Red Lobster's filed bankruptcy. Best Buy is closing stores. Macy's closing. The dollar store is closing. I mean, you had what's the name of that trucking company? Yellowstone. Like all of these major corporations are laying off. Tesla's laying off. Walmart, I believe, was laying off. CVS, right? Like you name a company, it's laying off. They're closing. They're shutting the doors. But guess what industry? Yellow freight. Thank you, James. But people still need somewhere to live. Pound Cake asked, why are these corporations closing? Uh, well, for one, in the industry, in the field where, or let's just take the businesses that have to buy commerce to sell. The cost of goods are increasing. So this is even why a lot of restaurants are struggling because the margins are continuously shrinking, but the expenses to keep the restaurant open is increasing. So if the pound of beef has increased from, I'm just making up a number, $10 a pound to $15 a pound, but your margins on 1 pound of beef was at 3%, and then the cost of the beef went up $5, you just shrunk your margins. And that's what's happening with a lot of these companies and industries. Thank you, Jordan, for the hearts. I felt like I was talking to myself on TikTok, but that's okay. Y'all gonna get this work tonight. And so the margins were constantly shrinking. And so imagine owning the business or the real estate, which hedges your money. Like, let me give you another example, which everybody should be able to relate to this. Let me give you another example. Let's take McDonald's, the McDonald's Corporation, for example. When you buy a McDonald's, well, first of all, the average McDonald's, you're going to spend about $3 million to own. Okay. Now, when you buy into the McDonald's, because you can't buy the rights, I mean, buy the business, you just buy the naming rights and the system and their burgers, and you got to use everything they tell you to use. Guess who owns the real estate? The McDonald's Corporation owns the real estate that you operate out of. Why is that? See, McDonald's understood, and if you go and watch the movie The Founder, you will see this play out. See, in the movie The Founder, which is the story of Ray Kroc, who is not the original owner of the McDonald's franchise, it's actually the McDonald's brothers, and Ray Kroc stole it from them. When Ray Kroc got involved, he saw that the McDonald's brothers were not making any money because there's only so much you can make off of a 50-cent hamburger, a 15-cent milkshake, and a 5-cent soft drink, and some in 25-cent French fries, especially when you still got overhead. And so when Ray Kroc met this banker who said, why don't we make McDonald's a real estate company? For every person who buys into the franchise, they have to rent from us. So what did McDonald's do? They started setting up SPVs and saying, hey, if you want to buy a McDonald's and you want to use our naming rights and buy into our system, you have to rent the building from us. So so now, for those who don't know, when you buy a franchise, what do you think about home help services? Pound cake. Here's the thing, pound cake. I think any business you can make money from is good. I'm only speaking from an analytical standpoint when it comes to the economics of business. Okay. I've met people you can sell dirt and make millions of dollars. There's companies out there that sell dirt. The reason you can make millions of dollars selling dirt is because when you are a developer and you have to bring dirt in, dirt is extremely expensive to haul. So the type of business you run is irrelevant. You can make money selling water. What I'm really trying to show people, pound cake, is how to evaluate business economically. And where I would start at, it's got to be a business that already has a proof of making money already, right? Yes and no, Jordan. I would say that where I am at in my career, I would only buy a business that's cash flowing. I would never start a business from scratch again, ever, 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 ever. I started my business from scratch and it took me 7 years to make money. Now, again, I'm only speaking from an economic standpoint, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So now, when you buy a McDonald's or any franchise, you have to pay what's called a royalty fee. If you're following me, type in the chat the word royalty fee. The royalty fee means you have to pay me a percentage every single month to own the naming rights McDonald's or Subway or Pizza Hut or whatever it is you invest in. You have to pay a royalty fee to use the naming rights of this franchise, plus all your other expenses. So back to McDonald's. So whether you have a good month or not, whether you have a profitable month or not, you still have to pay McDonald's rent because of their SPV. They own the real estate. So what did McDonald's do? McDonald's hedged the inflation of business by owning the real estate. See, everybody type in the chat, success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. See, once I started increasing my developmental stability scale, once I started increasing the signs of success, I started to pay attention not to the type of business I want to do or go into. I started paying attention to what works economically in any environment, in any climate, in any financial situation. See, I'm not a gambler, but I know people who gamble. And one of the things for professional gamblers that they learn on their journey of being a gambler is how to hedge their bets. See, you want to take those same and adopt those same principles in business. How do you hedge your business inflation? How do you hedge regular inflation? McDonald's was able to hedge their bets in business by owning the real estate. So number 5 was hedging inflation. Excuse me. Number 6, passive income. See, passive income, and let me tell you what the textbook definition of textbook definition of passive income is. And thank you, Jordan and Pound Cake for the hearts. Thank you. See, passive income, the textbook definition is money earned without actively working for it and is often regularly cash flow. Let me say that again. Passive income is money earned without regularly working for, without actively working for it. Now, if you own a business, you're there every day. Whether you're sick, whether you got the flu, whether like your kids got graduation, like it doesn't matter. You're there, rain, sleet, or snow. You're there for holidays, birthdays, Christmases, Valentine's Day. Like you're there every single day. That's not passive income. If you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't open the doors, you don't make any money. See, when I owned that tax business before it shut down and I lost it, if I didn't go and open the doors, I didn't make any money. If I wanted to take a month off work to go and take a vacation and spend time with the family, I didn't make any money. But see, when you own real estate, I'm not the one changing the light bulbs. I'm not the one laying the concrete. I'm not the one changing out the hot water tanks. I'm not even the one collecting the rent. But guess what? Every single month, I make cash flow passively through rental income. So number 6 is passive income. Number 7, control. See, when you run a business, and if let's say you have employees, there's less control there because you have to deal with something that is out of your control. People calling in. If Starbucks can't find good employees, what makes you think you're going to find good employees? Someone asked, what's the best way to get started? Let me see. What's the best way to get started as a beginner, though? The best way to get started in real estate as a beginner is you need to first educate yourself on real estate, knowing the numbers. I'll give you 10 quick steps. I think it says Trav Station. What's the best way to get started as a real estate investor? I'll give you 10 basic steps. I'm going to go fast because I got to get back to my list. First, you got to educate yourself. I know it sounds cliche, but you'd be surprised how many people get into real estate investing who know nothing about real estate and end up losing everything in real estate. So 1, educate yourself. 2, you got to understand the market you're in. I'll give you an example. People often say, because I live out here in Las Vegas, Will, do you own rental property in Las Vegas? And I said, where the market is today, no. And they ask why. And I said, because 1 + 1 is 2. I don't own real estate outside of my house I live in because 1 + 1 is 2. What does that mean? The average purchase price in Las Vegas, and you guys can do this simple math for your own local market. The average purchase price in Las Vegas is about $470,000. On a $470,000 mortgage, my mortgage payment is going to be about $3,000 a month. Okay, on $400,000+, my average mortgage payment is going to be about $3,000 a month. Now, the average rent I can charge on a $400,000 house, which is typically a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, about 18 to 1900 square feet. Okay, the most I can probably rent that place out for is $23 to $2,500. I'm already in the hole. So mathematically, it doesn't make sense. And this is why you got to understand the market. You have to go to the market that make the most sense. Number three, financial assessment. You need to know what you can afford. Number four, get your credit in position. I know you see those videos, buy real estate with no money and bad credit. Let me tell you, it's going to be very hard for you to do that. And that is not true. You're not buying real estate, you're really wholesaling it. So you don't even own it. Number five is understanding your financing options. What up, Marlon? Number six, leveraging credit. You got to get good credit so you can leverage it. Number seven, finding the right property, that can cash flow. Number eight, evaluating the deal. You got to know how to evaluate the deal. How do you evaluate it? Understanding 1 + 1 is 2. If the mortgage is $1,000, you got to make sure the rent is at least $1,200 to $1,500. If it's not at least, if the mortgage payment is more than the rent, it's not a good deal for a beginner. I'm not talking about the hedge funds, and because hedge funds will buy real estate and lose money every month, but they got $100 million fund. As a brand new investor, you can't afford to do that. So evaluate the deal. Number 9, make an offer. And 10, do your due diligence. Do your due diligence, meaning getting the home inspection, all of that stuff. See, the reason I was able to get a $60,000 discount off this apartment building that I'm purchasing was because I had a home inspection. I show people how to use a home inspection to negotiate the purchase price. I teach people that. So hopefully that helped you, Trav. All right. So now back to why Will Roundtree would do real estate investing before I started a traditional business first. Passive income. Look, it feels good to know every first of the month you have a check coming. Whether your check is $300 a month, $3,000 a month, or $30,000 a month, it's money you did not have to actively work for. Which on top of that, like I say, number 7, you have control of that property, because then number 8 is appreciation. Appreciation. Let me tell you what appreciation looks like. So appreciation is when you can buy a property for $100,000, collect the rent on it for a year or 2 years, and now it's worth $200,000 to $300,000. True story. I have a property. You guys can actually Google the address. Well, no, let me not give y'all the address because let me not get the address. But I'll post the property. I've actually posted it in my TikTok and on my pages multiple times. But I have a property that I paid $2,500 for. And if you don't believe you can buy properties for $2,500, go to any city in the Midwest, go on like Zillow or Realtor.com, put the filter on properties under $100,000. I did this exercise and I pulled 20 cities, 20. Okay. I actually did a breakdown and found out that there are over 19,000 cities in the United States. I pulled 20 cities and found over 6,000 properties under $100,000. Let me say that again. There's 19,000 cities in the United States, approximately 19,000. Okay, there's 50 states. There's approximately 19,000 cities. I pulled 20 cities and found 6,000 properties under $100,000. So I bought a property for $2,500 back in 2018. Today it's worth about $140,000. Guess what I can do with that property? I can borrow against it tax-free. That's called appreciation. So number 8 is appreciation on why I would do real estate investing versus traditional business first. I would build up my real estate portfolio, then I would go and buy a business. I'm not starting a business from scratch. There's too much that can go wrong and will go wrong. Okay. Number 9, when you buy the property the right way, you can sustain in any economic downturn. Let me give you an example. Okay. For those who are old enough, there was a depression in the 80s. Okay, there was an economic recession in the 80s, like around 1988, during I think that was the Reagan era. Okay, fast forward 2007, housing market crash, banks collapsed, they got bailed out, even though they were the ones who caused it. 2020, global pandemic, the world shut down. The world shut down. Okay, and then 2023, 24, we're in another recession. Things are tightening up. Cost of everything is still going up. Now, from the recession from the 80s to 2007 to the pandemic to the recession currently that we're seeing now, ask yourself this question. How many times have rents went down? Let me say that again. How many times have rents went down? And they haven't. See, when you buy the property the right way, it can sustain any economic downturn. But see, during the pandemic, during those three recessions, businesses were affected drastically. Now, you notice I say when you buy it the right way. Here's what I mean. A lot of people who lost their properties during the '07 crash is because they bought a property for personal use, or they were buying real estate properties chasing equity. See, I don't chase the equity, I chase the cash flow. So regardless of what happens in the market, meaning that if the values drop, as long as the rents can sustain the debt servicing, I'm fine. But because people were chasing equity, they were trying to buy $500,000 homes hoping that they appreciate to 700. Now you caught yourself in this financial ruin. So you want to buy it the right way. Number 10, scalability. I can scale faster. See, when I bought that tax franchise, the only way I can scale is one, I have to make 3 times my profits, 3 times my expenses, and 2, I had to find another Will Roundtree. See, not everybody wants the headache to running a business. Not everybody wants the headache to deal and manage employees. Not everybody wants the headache of waking up early, closing late, and doing that, all of that. Right, Chris, and on the properties, their mortgage payment wasn't fixed. Absolutely. But see, in real estate, I can scale like this. Meaning I can buy a property today. Okay, collect some rents, refinance it in let's say it takes 6 to 12 months. In 6 to 12 months, I can now borrow from this property and go buy another one. And then I can let this appreciate for another 6 to 12 months. And then guess what? If the appreciation on property 1 increased again, and then I got property 2, now I can borrow against both of these and go buy property number 3. So I can scale a lot faster when it comes to real estate. Let me share another interesting statistic. And you guys can Google all of this stuff or go and research it. Go to like Fundaria, a lot of these places where they pull stats. So so after 40 years of working, write these numbers down. After 40 years of working, they said that the average person should have approximately 240 something thousand dollars in their retirement fund or 401k. That's what they should approximately have. After 40 years, they should have approximately about 240 something thousand in their retirement fund. But the average person only has about 80 something thousand dollars in their retirement fund after 40 years. Let me say that again. The average person after 40 years only has about $80,000. Now, if you get one rental property that's worth $100,000, your net worth is more than somebody who's worked 40 years of their life, who only got 80 something thousand in their retirement fund. Why? Because this $100,000 investment property is liquidable. I can borrow against it. I can sell it. I can always depend on this asset. So even if you bought one investment property, your net worth is a minimum of $100,000 after 5 years. There's no other place where you can do this. These type of there's no other industry where you can perform this type of magic like real estate investing. Now that was 10. Let me give you a bonus. Less competitive. Less competitive. See, when I open my tax business, and of course, most people open tax offices, and I'm gonna just keep it above board for y'all. Most people open tax offices in lower impoverished neighborhoods. Why? Because they understand. See, here's the thing: you got every ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand. People spend. All right, TikTok is about to kick me off for some reason. All right. Companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars to do market research. For example, McDonald's will never open in a predominantly vegan neighborhood. Here's another interesting fact when it comes to research and development. Did you know that Burger King purposely opens up near McDonald's? Because they know that McDonald's has paid the hundreds of thousands of dollars for the market research for that neighborhood. See, same thing with tax businesses. See, H&R Block and Liberty Tax, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars researching to find poor neighborhoods because they know that most money in the tax industry comes from low income individuals. Why? Because they can overcharge you, they can overcharge inflated fees because they know you're happy just to get back something. I'm sorry to tell y'all that, but that's the truth. So when you go into these low income areas and when you see 5 tax offices in a 1 mile radius, what do you think that competition pool looks like? And when you retire, they think you live off 2 to 3 thousand a month after you work for 30 years. Yeah, pound cake. You make less money in your retirement. Crypto said cold game, but real business. Absolutely. So what do you think that competition looks like when there's 5 tax offices within a 1 mile radius? Start paying attention this tax season, and you're going to see H&R Block got somebody dressed up on this corner. Liberty Tax got somebody in the Statue of Liberty costume. Then you got Rooster Rango Tax. You got somebody dressed up as a rooster. You got Jumping Jack Tax. You got somebody dressed up as a kangaroo. So now you got 4 people on 4 different corners with their mascot outside dancing, trying to get you to come in and fill out and having them do your taxes. Now, you don't see that in Beverly Hills. I live in Las Vegas. You don't see this in Anthem. You don't see this in McDonald Ranch. You don't see this in Spanish Hills. You don't see this in Malibu. You don't see this. You don't see these things in these affluent neighborhoods. Start paying attention to the signs. But see, here's the beautiful thing I love about real estate, and this is number 11. There, when you own rental property, the competition is amongst the tenants. Let me say that again. Type that in the chat for me, chat. When you own rental property, the competition is amongst the tenants. Meaning, if you have a property that is desirable and you offer, decent amenities, like I put washer and dryer, stove and refrigerator in all of my properties, no matter what neighborhoods they're in. Some of them I provide alarm service. I put lights out in. Like if there are dark spots at, like I make it adequate so that they feel comfortable. So whether it's a single mother, whether they live in it, like I add different amenities, and you don't have to spend a lot of money for those things. I use Simply Safe to buy alarm equipment. I buy the lights off Amazon. Like I do different things, and when the tenants come or a potential tenant and my property manager is screening them, the tenants want to live there. So I have them in competition wanting to stay in my rentals. But when I had the tax office, I was fighting for the same clientele that H&R Block was fighting for, then Liberty Tax, Jackson Hewitt, Jumpin' Jack Tax, Toro Tax. There's and then their marketing budgets could have been larger than mine. See, if H&R Block is owned by corporate, because you can also own it independently as a franchise, their marketing budget may be $20,000 a month. I am a startup. My marketing budget was $1,000 a month. How do I compete with that? But see, when I own real estate, all I have to do is put a good product out there because everybody needs somewhere to live. Ladies and gentlemen, so if I had to start all over again, traditional business versus real estate investing, I'm going to start as a real estate investor, build my portfolio, take the money, borrow against the portfolio, and then I'm going to buy a business that's already cash flowing. I'm not starting from scratch. So if you got some value out of this live tonight, let me know. I think I'm going to start back going live and coming on here giving y'all these gems and some info and some game and whatnot. Because right now I'm seeing a lot of people failing badly because they're getting a lot of bad advice and a lot of wrong bad advice. Because here's the thing, you can practice the wrong thing and get good at the wrong thing. Thank y'all. Appreciate that. Thank you. Let me say that again. You can practice the wrong thing and get good at the wrong thing. And right now, I'm seeing so many people who are getting good at the wrong things, which is why they're struggling financially, which is why they feel like the hamster on the wheel, which is why they feel or why they are in financial ruin. Now, let me tell you, real estate investing doesn't make you rich overnight. I'm not one of those influencers who's going to come on here and say you're going to be a millionaire tomorrow. No. But let me share this last statement with you. You need to look at your real estate investment journey like college. See, when you're in college, you're going there, you're paying $80,000 to $200,000 for 4 years to come out to make $40,000 a year. Now, I'm not saying it's good or bad. It just is what it is. So now, if you focused really hard in real estate for the next 3 to 4 years, and you bought one house a quarter, that means you're buying 4 houses a year, okay? The average purchase price being $100,000. Let me get my calculator, okay? So if you bought one house a quarter over 4 years, you take 4 times 4, that's 16 properties, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So if you bought one house a quarter over the next 3 to 4 years, just like you're in college, one property per quarter, it's only 100. We're only focusing on $100,000 or less properties. Sorry, y'all see my battery dying on my other phone. Okay. So that's 16 properties. Now, let's just say you made an average of $400 a month net rental income per those 14 properties. So we're going to take 16 properties times $400. That's $6,400 a month. That's $6,400 a month, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now we're going to multiply this by 12. Okay, because this is what you're getting per month. So 6,400 times 12, that is $76,000 a year. So if you bought one house a quarter over 4 years, getting a net rental income of $400 a month, you're making $78,000 more than the average household does, bringing in 2 incomes. Now, let me show you where the real value is in this strategy right here. Okay, remember, you got 16 properties. We said each property is worth at least $100,000. So we're going to do 16 times 100,000. Your portfolio is worth $1.6 million. Remember, that's 4 years. How much money did we say is in your retirement after 40 years? Most people have $80,000 or less. That's if they even contribute. And if you know anything about real estate usually appreciates an average of 2% every single year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you get wealthy in North America. And the beautiful part about everything I just showed you is that you can do all of this using the bank's money. I show people how to build a $1.6 million real estate portfolio in 4 years without using any of their own money. Guess what? When you go to college, who money are you using? Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. When you go to college, whose money are you using? You're not even I'm sorry I'm keeping y'all up tonight, but we will go to college and use the bank's money to go buy a job when we can work really hard in learning how to educate ourselves in real estate or join my REI 90 program and use the bank's money and have a $1.4 million real estate portfolio in 4 years. I get excited. I'm sorry. Both journeys, you're not even using your own money. And when you start to learn that credit is just an illusion, meaning, let's say you mess up and you get a bump in the road. What's going to happen? What's the worst that happens to you? They send you a letter, your credit gets messed up, but you're not running from nobody. You don't got to look over your shoulder. The bank not sending its goons over. You go out, you repair your credit, and you start all over. King Curl said, I got a big bump in the road. Well, King, this is the beautiful thing about credit. You can always start over. You can always start over. 11,000 in debt, that's not that bad. Let's put together a plan to help you work around that. You notice I didn't say pay it off. I said work around that. Let's go generate some cash flow to help you pay that off. See, credit is just an illusion. People complain about this, but don't complain about student loan debt, something that you can never discharge. But let me tell you what the wealthy and affluent do. When they get a bump in the road with this, they do something called bankruptcy. But you can't bankrupt student loan debt. You can't. And so the sooner we learn these concepts and these strategies, I'm telling you, you're going to be so untouchable financially. You're going to be so efficient economically that you will truly be able to live the life that you told the young kid in yourself when you used to hang the posters up of your dream cars, when you used to tell your mama and daddy, mama, I'm going to take care of you when I get older. Dad, I'm going to buy you that Cadillac. When you tell your wife that you're going to give her the world, and when you tell your husband you're going to make him proud. All of those things that we told ourselves at the beginning of our lives, in the beginning of our adulthood, go out the window because we have a low developmental stability scale because nobody taught us how money works. And the sooner you learn how to play this game and understand it's about learning economics. Has nothing to do about working hard. It has nothing to do about having two jobs. It has nothing to do about working from sun up to sun. Like, I remember when I used to wake up when it was dark and come home when it was dark. That's when I knew I had to change my life. I had to be at work at 5 o'clock, and I was getting off at 5 because in the wintertime, it's dark outside early and dark outside early. I got tired of that life. I said, you know what? I want to wake up when I want to. I want to be able to take a trip in the middle of the week. I want to be able to drive whatever car I want to drive. I want to be able to eat the type of food I want. But the only thing that will afford, after all of my 20 years of research and entrepreneurship, here's the one thing from the Success Leave Clue journey that I learned. 90+% of people who are affluent own real estate. And when they own real estate, they scale their wealth by buying a business, not starting, by buying. Now, do some people start? Absolutely. Appreciate y'all being up here tonight. I'll start going live more. I need y'all drop in the comments, DM me, let me know what y'all would like to learn more about when it comes to this business and real estate. Drop me some questions. I'm about to start a new campaign called Ask Will, where you send me a question and I'm going to get online and answer it and put it in my stories and all of that stuff. So I need y'all to flood my inbox. Ask me a million questions. Kosciuszko, Mississippi is in the house. This is where I went to high school at. Please do. Much gratitude. Absolutely. So drop y'all questions, DM me, blow up my DMs, I want to put my team to work. My assistant, he probably sleep right now. I need y'all to flood my DM so he can wake up so we can field those questions. And I need y'all to let's increase our developmental stability scale so we can go out there and operate in the highest level of creativity and certainty to accomplish all of the things we told our younger self we were going to eventually do. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all. If you are near and around St. Louis, what up, Travis? Pull up to St. Louis. I need to see y'all in St. Louis this weekend. I will be in St. Louis this coming up weekend. I think the event is close to being sold out. Pull up. You can go to onourblock.app/event. It is a free event. So I need y'all to tap into St. Louis. Hey, Will, I signed up for the REI 90, but I hit a hard rock and couldn't pay. Is there any way I could be able to start those payments back up? Miss into everything. Reach out to me and we'll have somebody see what we can work out with you. STL, stand up. We here. Yes, we're going to be in the building this weekend, St. Louis. So pull up on your boy and y'all come and get these. Y'all come get this game. I'm telling y'all, St. Louis was one of those cities that had properties under 100,000. And y'all don't want me to bring my investors out there because we done took over Milwaukee. We about to take over St. Louis next. So St. Louis, I need y'all to come out so y'all can start taking advantage of your own backyard. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all and I'll see y'all at the top. Peace.